Welcome back to another episode of the Real Health Podcast. We're excited you jumped in and joining us today. So we are going to continue our series that we started last week, which was on thyroid. We're going to continue this like hormone series talk, and we're going to get into the adrenal system today, the adrenal glands. It's something that many people have like heard about in terms of adrenal fatigue. This is like a common I wouldn't even call it a diagnosis, but like a thought that we have, like, do I have adrenal fatigue? Is that real? What is it? And maybe some reasons why you have midday lows, like low energy levels. So we're going to talk about that today, unpack it, and give you some tips to boost energy, to support your adrenal health, and then in turn will help your thyroid. So if you missed our episode on thyroid health, we talked about that last week. What are some like core issues with the thyroid gland? So go back, listen again, whether it's audio through Spotify or Apple, or whether you want to watch us through YouTube. We have a YouTube channel called The Real Health Co. So let's dive in. Let's talk through this adrenal system. Before we do, public service announcement. I feel like this is like crazy right now. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but I wouldn't say I've personally experienced it. I haven't had many like illnesses this year, but I've been seeing a lot of it, a lot of respiratory illnesses. It's been really crazy. Like we're in the month of June, and there are people still getting respiratory viruses. And this is just unlike anything I've seen in the last 15 years of practice. We're getting like adenovirus, rhinovirus, coronavirus. We're getting strep. And it's just a really heavy season. I'm just seeing a lot of healthy people express a lot of respiratory illnesses, a lot of walking pneumonia, a lot of strep infections, nasal infections, sinus infections, and just the list goes on. So I just wanted to maybe come on here and let you know we need to be supporting our immune system in this season, because I have no idea what fall and winter is going to be like. So make sure that you are supporting your immune system. We've done plenty of episodes on immune health, how to support immune system, vitamin D, sunlight, probiotics, gut health, fasting, and so even did an episode on colostrum. Now that's huge for immune function. So just kind of getting maybe months in advance conversation here, but support your immune system, right? Support it right now. Get as much sunlight, vitamin D, grounding, healthy nutrition habits, healthy hydration, good sleep as you can. And I'll make sure I'll come back to more immune system talks here in the next couple months to kind of set us up well for fall and winter time. Because I don't know what it's gonna be like, because this spring summer has not been great for a lot of people. All right, let's dive into adrenal system. The adrenal glands is like, you can consider it a stress gland and a sex gland. Okay, so stress gland, it creates stress hormones, specifically cortisol. And then it actually makes sex hormones called DHEA, which is a precursor to testosterone and estrogen. So it makes sex hormones and stress hormones. The interesting thing with the adrenal glands is that they will respond with priority to stress. So under stress, your body will have a preference towards making cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And it will actually, in a long state of stress, it'll rob your body of sex hormones, which specifically is DHEA. So your body will preferentially make cortisol over DHEA in seasons of prolonged stress. And why this is so important is because we're all under stress. And when we look at the adrenal stress profiles that we run in the office through saliva testing, we see it. We see low DHEA, low sex hormones, low sex drive, low energy levels, high stress hormone. And this is like the first phase of adrenal response is that pattern. But let's back up for a second. Let's talk through the adrenal glands, and let's talk about cortisol specifically. When you wake up in the morning, when you rise at like 6 o'clock in the morning, you make a ton of cortisol. It's actually a cortisol spike. It gets you up, gets you energetic, and wakes you up. And then it slowly starts to taper down, and it reduces over time in order for melatonin production to be made at night. This is your natural, normal circadian rhythm of stress hormone, cortisol, to wake you up, to sleep hormone called melatonin. And when this circadian rhythm gets dysregulated is when a lot of symptoms will really start to develop, okay? So adrenal system, when the adrenals are fatigued, when they're wearing out, when there's prolonged season of stress, what are the symptoms? Okay, hair falling out, low energy in the midday, specifically around like 2, 3, 4 o'clock. Can't get out of bed easily, so you're not getting that early cortisol spike. Waking up in the middle of the night. Sometimes we'll get a cortisol spike in the middle of the night between the hours of like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And if you're waking up in that time frame of 2, 3, 4 a.m., this is usually a stress response, cortisol, melatonin, circadian rhythm issue. More on the adrenal system is when you start to get low drive, just drive to do things, energy, focus, low sex drive. When you start getting low testosterone levels for males, you should look at the adrenal system. When you start craving salt is definitely an adrenal issue, okay? So when we look at a lot of these symptoms, most of us deal with a lot of those symptoms, right? Low energy levels, difficult waking up, kind of crashing at 2, 3, 4 o'clock, need a round of caffeine just to get us through the day, right? Not sleeping great, waking up in the middle of the night. All right, we got to think adrenal system. How do we test it? How do we test the adrenals? Well, the best way to test it is through salivary collection, so saliva. Specifically, you'll actually spit in a tube, so we'll collect your saliva 4 times throughout the day. Right when you wake up, we want to see that cortisol spike. A couple hours later, we want to see it still kind of stay up a little bit. A few hours later, kind of mid-afternoon, we want to start to see it come down a little bit. And then right before bed, we want to see it get low. Yeah, this is not the rhythm we typically see. Sometimes we'll see it spike in the morning, high, nice, elevated, but then it like bottoms out too quick. And then it actually spikes at night again because we have this like stress response at home. And this like dysregulated cortisol pattern with low DHEA is like phase 1 adrenal insufficiency, right? Your adrenals are getting fatigued. Then over time, if you don't deal with the stress, you don't support adrenal system, right? We're not taking care of our bodies. We're not sleeping well. We're not feeding our bodies well. We'll actually see lack of cortisol production and lack of DHEA production. And when we see that, our adrenal system is definitely burning out. And there's no question about it. This is going to start to affect thyroid, brain, gut, and so many other issues of the body. Okay? So the first thing is, do you have any adrenal fatigue symptoms? Second is test it. Test the adrenal system through salivary collection through a functional medicine practitioner. Okay? Do it through saliva and make sure you're collecting the 4 tubes so we can actually see your whole cortisol pattern. Make sure you check melatonin and DHEA. And let's talk about supporting it. The adrenal glands love salt. So one of the big issues that we see a lot is people just don't consume enough sodium. Sodium, especially in healthy people, when we sweat, when we train, when we eat lower carbohydrate, you need more sodium. You need thousands upon thousands of milligrams of sodium a day. So make sure you're getting in sodium. Sea salt, natural sea salt from Celtic sea salt or real salt or even like Elements, which I drink a lot of, are all great sources of sodium. Okay, so make sure you're getting in sodium every single day. Salt, hydration, so important for the adrenal system. That's first thing. Second thing is wake up consistently every day. So choose one day a week that you rest, Sabbath, sleep in. Great. But the other 6 days, make sure you're waking up within that like 15, max 30-minute window. So if you wake up at 5 o'clock every day, try to get up 5 every single day, 6 days a week. This helps set in motion the adrenal system and really helps create that cortisol spike in the morning, okay? If you find yourself getting fatigued later on the day, between like 2, 3, and 4, in a caffeine podcast we did a few weeks ago, go back and listen. We talk about delaying your caffeine consumption beyond like the first hour, 2 hours of waking up to help prevent that crash around that 2, 3, 4 o'clock range, okay? If you find that you're like not waking up with energy, one of the best things to do is when you wake up, immediately stimulate your cortisol. So whether that's like if you wake up at a time where the sun is up, go look at the sun. Immediately go look at sunlight so you can start your circadian rhythm in motion. If the sun's not up yet, then do something. For me, I sauna every morning. It creates that cortisol production. So sauna for me, you could do like 20 burpees or like 50 jumping jacks, something to like just spike the heart rate, spike cortisol production, and start teaching your body when to make cortisol in the morning. That's a great like way of spiking your circadian rhythm or spiking that cortisol pattern. So try to wake up same time every day, and then try to do something that stimulates cortisol production. And then if you find yourself fatiguing later on in the day, try to delay that caffeine consumption, okay, for at least an hour, maybe even 2 hours upon awakening. What else can you do? I'm a big fan of adaptogenic herbs, okay? So this is like ashwagandha, ginseng, rhodiola, schisandra berries. There's a ton of different adaptogens, but the big one that most people hear about is ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is a fantastic adaptogenic herb, great for the adrenal system. It helps really balance the cortisol production in your body. So this is a great herb to take if you find yourself stressed, if you find yourself with low energy, if you find yourself with adrenal fatigue. Ashwagandha can be a game changer for you as well. Last thing is maximize your sleep. Try to get that melatonin reset at night. How do we do that? Go to sleep at the same time. Consider taking melatonin before bed. And then if you're consistently waking up between the hours of like 2, 3, 4 o'clock, your neurotransmitters, adrenal system, cortisol, stress levels are a little too high. So we've got to manage our stress a little bit better. Whether that's like breath work before bed, whether that's training properly, whether that's decreasing emotional, physical stress, whatever we got to do, we got to figure out what stressors in our life that we got to modulate to improve our nighttime sleep, okay? Especially that, right, 2, 3, 4 o'clock. If you're waking up at 10, 11, 12, 1 a.m., that's more of a blood sugar issue. You're dealing with a blood sugar dysregulation. Hey, this is just nutrition, okay? But if you're waking up around like 2, 3, 4 a.m., that's definitely more stress, cortisol, melatonin balance that needs to happen there, okay? The adrenal system is so important to the health of our other organ systems like our thyroid and our brain, our gut. We need to be taking care of our adrenals. We need to be like supporting them. We need to help create balance between rest, work, and stress. And so today's episode was really just like, hey, is adrenal fatigue, is that real? Yes. What do? You test, okay? How do I support it? Well, there's a couple things, but let's create a healthy sleep routine, a healthy wake-up routine, and consider taking adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha or ginseng to really help heal the adrenal glands. I hope this was helpful. Hope it was supportive for you. And as always, if you need any help, we are more than happy to support you with our functional medicine department. You can see our nurse practitioner here. We'd be happy to help you any way we can. Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Real Health Podcast.